you were doing the company and you opened it, and then how did that make you feel after like being rejected as a woman and no one wanted to hire you?
Well, I was crying because I went like for 3 or 4 interviews, and because I was too young, I just graduated. Nobody wanted me like to be part of their factories because my dream was to work in the process and production companies. But nobody wanted to hire me because I was a woman ready to get married or, you know. And they told me, we're going to spend money and time because we have to give you time to go to the honeymoon, and then you're going to have babies and you need to feed them. So we will need to give you time for your babies too when they're born. So we're going to waste money. It was so hard to hear that.
Yeah.
So my mom, she owned an old bulldozer at that time, working just by herself because I just grew up with my mom as a single mother. So, she told me, come to work with me. Now you're an engineer, you can do something with me. And I was like, I know, this is not a good idea. Your company is so small. How are we going to survive and make 2 salaries from one bulldozer, and very old bulldozer? Anyways, because I couldn't find a door open, she convinced me, like, maybe you have to work with me. Let's do something together. So I accept the opportunity and I say, okay, let's do this. Let's try. And thanks to the Lord, as I was telling you, I opened my company. I started working, renting that machine. I just start renting because you have to start small with what you have in your hands.
Right.
So we just had that. So we started with that. Then I had the opportunity to connect with other engineers who were my colleagues, who were working in construction companies, and they asked me, can you provide us this and this and this and this machines, like heavy equipment? So I was like, yes, I have the connection. So I went to talk to my mom's colleagues, and I brought their equipment, trucks, and everything they needed, like backhoes and, the equipment to open new roads and give maintenance to. So I started growing in that area. I started saving and saving and saving. Then I bought my first new machine.
Oh.
And then I was renting 2 machines, and then 3, and then when I graduated, one of the deans in the engineering school, he was part of the government, like NCDOT here, for example. So he was like, hey, would you like to have your own projects? And I was like, well, that sounds interesting, but I don't know how.
Right.
We didn't have these kind of workshops or like an institute in my country. So I didn't know where to start. And he was like, okay, just go and ask, pre-qualify your company and start with something. So I had to learn by myself. I pre-qualified my company, and I had to go through the bidding, my first bidding. So I won my first contract directly with the government.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I didn't have experience to learn by myself. And other people who were older than me, my mom's colleague, they helped me. They were always there, like my consultants maybe. I was always asking to them, and because I was an only child with my mom, like 2 women in this business full of men, they just helped us like to learn, and it was hard. It was hard. But then we started building the name for the company. We started doing our work good, and we started growing. So we stayed for years working for the government. Then we started building schools, renewing schools.
Oh.
So we expanded to other things. We started coming here to buy our heavy equipment in Florida to some auctions. So there is when I got in love with the factory, like the candle factory. I went to a store and I had the opportunity to meet the owner. Years later, I was coming every year to buy equipment, the next year again, until I met the owner. So I bought like a franchise, and I opened my my candle factory in Guatemala.
Oh, wow.
And I had that like for 18 years and my construction company like for 23 something years. Yes, but next to it, because my mom suffered a lot because she was physically abused, my dad was alcoholic, and she gave him like a lot of opportunities to change, and he never wanted to change. So that's why we left. But she always had in her heart to support women.
Yes.
So years later, she wanted to open a shelter to bring women like living on the streets. And then we opened another for youth who were living in the streets with drug addictions problems and alcoholism and all that. So we had the experience with this nonprofit as well. And it was beautiful because we didn't have like a lot of funds in our countries. In Latin America, it's not the same as here that you have grants, that you have a lot of people who wants to support the nonprofits. So I had the idea to open a project. So I opened with them a bakery. I brought one of my friends from college who was the owner of a bakery. He wanted to renew his equipment. And I was like, do you want to sell me all your old things and teach my boys how to make bread? We need to make this nonprofit sustainable.
Right.
So we opened the bakery.
Just like that.
Just like that. So they started selling the bread in the city. They were identified with their T-shirts, with the vision on the back. So the people in the city who knew that those boys were living in the streets, and now they wanted to do a job.
Yeah.
To go back to the society later.
It's a natural good cycle that gives growth and life to the community.
Yes. So we had that too.
That's so exciting.
And then
what?
I moved to the States.
Okay.
So my kids came here like to study in college and all that. So because I'm only child, I wanted to come with them. So we left everything there and we moved here. And I was like, okay, I need a job that I really get passionate about that, because I'm very passionate when I get in something. So that's why I knew about the Institute. And the Women's Business Center of Charlotte, they were hiring. So I went to check the vision. I love it. And especially because it was founded by a woman. So that's why I decided to apply. And since the beginning, I told my husband, this is my job.
Yeah.
I'm going to apply for this one. So I got it. I'm really happy because I can share here my experience, my story. And I say, if I'm coming from a third world country and I could do it, being a woman rejected by men basically in my industry, and I survived and I was very successful in my companies. Can you imagine having all the resources that you have here in the States? Oh my God, please don't tell me that you can't. Basically, that's my message. Here you have everything. If you are connected with the Institute, with the Women's Business Centers, you can do it. So dream and make your dreams true. We're here to support you. Okay?
And that's a message from Miss
Sheila Obregon, the program director of the Women's Business Center of Charlotte.
And y'all can come visit her and get some help with your businesses. All right? And I'll see y'all in another podcast. Bye.